Hello and welcome back to Simon's Trading Channel. It is Tuesday today, and that means it's the second day of the week. And more interesting things are afoot in the world of Bitcoin. So yes, please come and join me for today's price action analysis. I hope you're all well and you've had a marvelous Tuesday and your week is going as well as the weather is in Wales at the moment, which is very nice. So I might say a bit too hot. Don't often get to say that about weather in the UK. Anyway, this chart that you can see in front of you, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you will have seen before. This is my magical $15,000 chart. So it's just picking out every $15,000 that move that Bitcoin has made within this bull run so far from the bottom. So I'm rounding the numbers, so 15, 30, 45, 60 and 75. And the areas in between each of those lines also correspond to some significant price action, which you can see just by eyeballing the chart, because I'm not going to put any more lines on. But you can see the midpoint of all of those, if you like, many ranges, has had some significant price action. Now, why, you're asking yourself, Simon, what's your point? Come on, man, get on with it. This is a weekly chart, obviously, and I'm going to start the video with a bit of a doomsayer, and then end the video on a lighter note, depending on, of course, your point of view. Now, the harbinger of doom within me would suggest that if Bitcoin closes a weekly into this range, so for example, if it closed its current weekly candle into this range, so below that blue line, it's likely to make a move down somewhere around mid to low 50s. Get support there. Yes, that's right. 45k. Now you can look at that in two ways. All right, it might not even happen, but this is the pessimistic part of the video. If that did happen, and it's not going to happen overnight, even if it does, but if it did happen, you could look at that as a bargain price for Bitcoin within this bull run. But it would paint a bit of a different picture. It would paint a picture that looked rather similar to this move and this pullback, and then the upside move that followed it. Now, I wasn't in trading, I wasn't looking at charts back here. I started my journey into the crazy world of trading around here, so end of 2021. But I bet my bile duct, love that phrase, that when Bitcoin pulled back 50% of this move up, everyone was going, yeah, no, it's all over, there's no more upside. And indeed, that just turned out to be a real value area to get your hands on some, because then from that point onwards, it marched up. And that would have been a, 32 to, so that would have been a 100% trade. Doesn't get much better than that. And then obviously a bear market, but just referencing this whole price action as a possibility should Bitcoin close a weekly candle below this blue line. All right, so that's all sort of circumspect. There are many sequences to the puzzle that have to fit before that on the lower time frames. Okay, so that's the doomsday, slight doomsday side of the story. And now I'm going to do the brighter side of the story. It all just depends on your perspective, of course, because if you're short Bitcoin, then, it's all good. More downside, the better. I may as well leave the blue lines on. I'm going to leave those blue lines on for now. All right, so this is the daily, okay? This is the daily, and you've heard me witter on about this daily chart for quite some time now, and it's looked like that for 15 weeks because it's been consolidating sideways. And the bottom, this whole price action has been in a range, and the bottom of the range is basically 60,000 for weekly closures. You can see there are a few daily closures below there, but for weekly closures, about 60,000. Now, on my lower time frame price action analysis, I use this area because that's, you can have wicks down there on all sorts of time frames. Anywhere, any time frames, you can have wicks down to there. Well, you can have wicks anywhere, but it wouldn't be unusual to have wicks down to here. However, weekly closures below 60,000. So the brighter side of this is what's happened since yesterday, all right, where Bitcoin had been in a downtrend, still is in a downtrend, but had a rather big move down, which freaked everyone out a bit. And what's happened since then? Well, to see that in a bit more detail, there's no point looking at the daily price, the daily time frame, because there's only one candle since then. So if I jump down to a 4-hour chart, now the way I look at this, is, whoa, what's that doing on there? Weird. So the way I look at it, so this is the last move down, right? So just to give you some perspective, that's a consolidation, 15-week consolidation I've been talking about. If you then zoom into this most recent downtrend, and this is a 4-hour chart, that is indeed a sequence of lower lows and lower highs, aka a downtrend. And it will remain as such until that changes. So right now, and it's not exactly a small ask for Bitcoin, continuation will obviously be below 58,000 on a 4-hour. It's had a decent-ish bounce, and it's not good enough for me to look for anything other than more downside at the moment. But there's a degree of encouragement. It's not a very loud shout of encouragement. There's a degree of encouragement. What needs to happen if this is going to lead to a weekly higher low compared to here, so this is by the end of this week, Bitcoin's got to remain above here. Okay, now that could, if that happens, so this is the more positive spin, and I'm 8 minutes in, so I'm going to be efficient in my description. For that to happen, there's a couple of things there's a couple of ways that could occur. Bitcoin could get initially back above here, because this is the kind of local high to this low here. I know it's not a very obvious high, this is a more obvious high, but you can see there's a move down and a bit of a bounce and a move down. So getting back above here in the first case, which is basically around 64.5, that would start to look good. And then really pull back anywhere that doesn't get below here, right? Because that would just be trend continuation with a weird, big bounce. But so it would then have to turn back up, and ideally then get back above wherever the upside reached, because then you would have a higher low here, you'd have a high, and then you'd have the makings of a higher high coming up. So that's what Bitcoin needs to do. Now, it might not look like that. It could be many. It almost certainly won't look like that. If it looks like that, then I'm going to start calling myself Simon the Prophesizer, which I currently don't. It could kind of do this sort of thing. It could do that sort of thing. What you wouldn't want to see, and I alluded to this in yesterday's video, is too much hanging round here. Because too much hanging round here, particularly with a, so you could have a sequence of bounces like this, but that would almost certainly, in my opinion, and it's kind of based on having seen that happen a lot, it would maintain the current trend of lower highs, and all that is then is selling pressure up against support, which eventually will break. Or not will, you can't deal in absolute terms in trading, but more likely to break to the downside than then bounce up. So if Bitcoin spends a lot of time, and again, this has really got to all happen by the end of this week, so today's Tuesday. So if it hangs around here for the next, tomorrow's Wednesday into Thursday, and hasn't, I would suggest, got back above these kind of areas, it's not good. It's way more likely then that this is going to turn into continuation to the downside with a weekly closure below that blue line, below 60,000 basically. And then Bitcoin, it's going to be very much hard work for Bitcoin to defend this as the current weekly low. It's going to be very hard to defend that as a current weekly low. So, there we go. It's another longish video. Sorry, I try and keep them sort of less than 10 minutes. But I hope that's been helpful. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed doing it, and I hope you've enjoyed listening and watching. And if you have, please like and subscribe. And if you haven't, don't come back tomorrow because I'll be doing it all again for Wednesday. Okay, take it easy, guys. Enjoy what's left of your Tuesday, and I will see you tomorrow for midweek price action analysis.